You see, one of the things going on, I told you some time ago that we should pray about mercenaries that have been sent into different countries. Now, many are beginning to understand what I was talking about. Mercenaries sent out into different countries and what's going on. Food shortage is about to hit the world in a big way. Now, what is happening is they're buying up large swaths of land, agricultural land. They're buying them up and driving away the farmers. And these large corporations that are buying these large agricultural lands are not intending to do anything with them. No. They want to create a pseudo shortage. So they will buy up these things, frustrate the nations, and it will raise the prices of food commodities. There'll be shortage of food eventually, because they drive away the farmers, take over their lands, and you would think they're going to do something. Of course, they will strike deals with the governments about what they're going to do, which they will not do. And they don't care how much they spend on these things. Why? Because they have understood what I've been telling you for many years, that money doesn't exist. It only exists in the mind of the poor. I told you before. Some of you are beginning to discover now. I said, there's no such thing as money. It only exists in the mind of the poor. They know it, and that's what they're using against the poor. Just remember that. I told you that in 2004. That's when I began to share that with you. 2004. You go back to the messages, you hear them. That's a long time ago. All right. So, this is a hostile takeover of nations. Practically, many countries will become so broke, all the industries will be grounded. Now, that's also the reason for the riots. I told you riots were coming, and this was last year. Riots and protests, okay? What's that for? To make nations and cities ungovernable. Ungovernable. So for any reason whatsoever, these mercenaries will help stir up people in different cities and in different nations, and they'll begin to chant popular statements about or against their government or against something, whatever it is, because they understood what they were doing for many years. For more than 30 years, well over, maybe about the last 40, 50 years, frankly, they began to work on the destruction of education in many countries, especially in African and Asian countries. They began to destroy education. Now, what was that about? To flood their nations with people that could not intelligently communicate, that could not intelligently work, and would be part of the unemployed force. They intended to use those masses of people as a weapon. So all over Africa today, and in many parts of Asia, you have lots of young people unschooled, uneducated. The plan is to use them as a weapon. And that's what's going on. So when the time comes, and the time has come for many countries, they stir up these young people everywhere, and most of them have no place to go, because the government policies that were handed over to them when they were asked to borrow money from the IMF, particularly, with the conditionalities policies that were frustrating to those countries, destroying their education, so they could not help their own nations. Now they come back. Those nations are already poor. They can't do anything for their citizens now. And then they unleash these masses of unemployed, uneducated, unemployable young people. They unleash them on those nations and completely destroy the nations. And these people will be called, what did Hillary Clinton call? Deplorables. Now, when she said that, she was not just talking off the cuff. She wasn't talking off the cuff. She used a statement that had been used a long time ago in describing those who were not included in the one world order and its plans. They're called the deplorables. So she wasn't just talking off the cuff. So all of these people will eventually be called the deplorables. And no government wants them. No government needs them. And they'll all be eliminated. So what is being used today as the isolation centers for COVID-19 patients will eventually be used as concentration camps for those same people who were involved in the riots. And those concentration camps will become extermination camps. Mark my words, write them down.